GBV Awards. They were held at Birchwood Hotel and Conference Center to honor various individuals and organizations that contribute in fighting the scourge of gender-based violence. And one of the nominees who scooped up multiple awards was Tholo Motaung, who won the GBV Ambassador Award. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you feeling, award winner?
Look, I'm on top of the world.
As you should be. As you should
Yeah.
be. So I want to take a deep dive into your organization and you in particular. I mean, really taking on the scourge and fighting against GBV is quite a noble decision and act, and consistently so, making sure that you're fighting for gender-based violence, femicide, and IPV. Talk to me about that.
Okay. So the organization that we established, it's me and my co-directors. It's called ADSP. So it's basically focusing on assisting people with a diverse gender, identities, right? And the idea for that was really to support people in a marginalized community, which is LGBTQI plus community. Yeah, to support them in various ways, because there are a lot of challenges that we come across at any point of the year, right? So we established that, but in doing that, when time came for 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, for me it became a challenge of we don't talk about it much, particularly in the LGBTQ community, and it is rife. We don't have statistics in terms of putting the actual numbers to it, but as a person who's in the community, I observe it all the time. And as a person who has also been a victim of it, I understood what it takes to be a victim, but also what triggered my thoughts was, why do people become perpetrators, right? And if they are perpetrators, do we just cut them off? Do we just overlook that they need help as well, but obviously it's not just in the community, but also in the society at large. So for me, the challenge was something has to be done, and we cannot just sit back knowing the consequences and the impact it has in society without doing anything. And I believe in that, when you stand and make a difference, you're breaking the cycle to continue, and that's why I got involved. So based on the stories that you hear, the people you interact with, I mean, what are some of the common threads with the perpetrators in particular? What's coming up more and more that you're seeing in perpetrators? It's various issues. It can stem from insecurity, when a person is insecure and they use, whether it's the power, masculinity power, or financial power that they have to want to control the other person. It could be from a point of that they themselves have gone through it when they were young, that they lived in a very hostile environment, that they thought actually this is how to do things. You find people that grow up in families where the father beats up the mom all the time. That's what the father is modeling to them. Now that is normal to them. They don't know anything different. So they grow up with that, knowing that if they get into a position where there's conflict between the two of you, what do? Is to inflict pain on you so you can listen. So it becomes things like also abuse of substances, right? If a person is abusing substances, then they find themselves, in that position that they become perpetrators. So it also depends in which part of society are you at, because you find that people that live in the townships experience it differently than people that live in the suburbs, right? Because obviously also the social level is different. So it's various issues really.
So what does your work now entail? I'm interested in, what does that look like? Whenever I hear about funding for GBV initiatives, like where does that go, and how does it help even in the fight? Okay, for me, what I do, and you'll see that everywhere I
actually take myself more as an advocate than an activist. And there's a difference between the two, because an activist is somebody that actually goes out on the ground and actually do the work. But when you're an advocate, you support the work that they do, right? So then you'll go into spaces where decisions are made, where you can influence decision makers. So, you know, whether it's policy or anything, or you come to platforms like this where you can be able to bring awareness in different ways. So the work that I do is I would have different campaigns at different parts of the year to talk to different groups. But like last year, I spoke to university students. So particularly where they come together as groups, because if you don't talk to young men at that age, we're missing it, because it's at that age that they get to understand themselves as adults and how they need to conduct themselves. So at the time they become partners to somebody, they get married to somebody, now they know as a man, this is how I need to conduct myself. Or as a woman, because even women do become perpetrators of GBV. So then I look into those spaces where I then engage people at different spaces, but usually where there are gatherings that will be happening. We also shot a short film towards the end of last year, which is the one that actually brought the spotlight to the award. It was an intimate partner violence that we shot, basically showing how it starts and how it can end, right? And it's part of education that we need to see such stories, because sometimes you are a victim and you're not aware that actually this is GBV happening here, because at times can happen so subtle that you know something is wrong, but you can't put the words to it to say this is actually happening to me. So it's things like that. And also now we've started to engage men as well, because there are men that are victims to GBV. So what we are doing is we're going to hold a men's gathering in September to actually talk about such issues, but also on individual level as well. I do engage different people to assist them to find the right help, right? You find recently there's a gentleman that also was going through that, and he ended up in divorce, and to an extent that, you know, the lady sent people to kill him, right? Because he was not succumbing to what she has been doing over time. So the impact is that bad, you know. So then you find ways to connect them to the right people that will assist them, whether it's protection or psychological support, things like that.
I'm also very interested in how the media plays a role in the display of gender-based violence. I think a lot of the time we do see men being the role players or the perpetrators, right? What does that look like, especially as an advocate? You know, what are some of the things that you are seeing, especially with the decisions that are being made? You know, is there an encompassing of the media? You know, how are we bringing the media in? Because the things that we watch also play a very big role in how this is displayed and how GBV is displayed. And then I want us to also kind of get into the victim a little bit. But for now, I just want to know, like, what role particularly does the media play in this space?
The media plays a very pivotal role, particularly in bringing awareness and education as well, right? Because I always said that for somebody that doesn't know, that they honestly don't know that this is wrong, because they grew up seeing it happening in their community and around them. So if they are watching a show or they're listening to this kind of a conversation, it then says, hey, this is actually not the right way of doing things, then challenges them. But what I think the limitations in media is we talk about problems, but we don't talk about solutions, right? Then a person sees that, okay, I can see myself in this, but then how then do I deal with this, right? So I think talking about such issues throughout the year, not only on specific times of the year, but throughout the year, because it's a societal issue. It's people live like that on daily basis. I remember when we shot the short film, I was triggered a lot of times because I have been a victim, right? So now you basically relive the moments. But I think what hit me the most was the fact that I survived. Somebody's living that on daily basis, right? And that's why we need to talk about such things as often as we need to, but also more than anything, to say this is a problem that we need to solve. So if you are a perpetrator, we need to correct that. We don't cut you out of the society. We don't give you certain names or labels, but we're saying, hey, you have a problem. Stop, look at this problem, and find ways to deal with it so you can get over it. Because other people, it's not that they want to.
Yeah.
It's not that they want to. Yes, it's not right, but it's not that they want to. Yeah. So we need to give as much support as we can. So media plays that pivotal role in bringing that awareness and education as well. But as I say, that there is that limitation of it gets to happen only on specific times of the year. And also we don't really dive deep into it in terms of, if you have a problem, these are the consequences and these are the ways that you can find help.
Yeah. And what is the role of the community? I mean, let's say your neighbor, you're hearing them, receiving punches, I guess. They're in a position that is vulnerable, that isn't safe for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've been put in a situation like that where I heard some very grotesque things from my neighbor, and I called security, of course, because I mean, what else? You didn't want anything to get too far, right? Yeah. But then the very next day, these people are laughing together, having breakfast on the balcony, and now you look like a fool.
It's confusing like that.
And now you look like you're trying to separate, and I'm like, listen, I don't know.
You're like the instigator now. You want to divide them.
Exactly. So I mean, what do you do in cases like that? I mean, how do you navigate that? Because there's also remember, there's a romantic aspect of the relationship, and most of the time that's what's clouding most people in this field. So how do we navigate situations like that? I mean, as a community.
Yeah, you're quite correct, and that's why you'll find people taking time to get out of such relationships. Because also remember, perpetrators are smart in a sense that they come inflict that pain and have a way to come back and make you feel that, but you know how much I love you, and you keep upsetting me. I didn't mean to. Now it goes back to you feeling, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should be. I should dress a bit better the way he wants, or maybe I should bring more money because she wants more money. So you see, there's that psychological aspect of it also that plays a role, that a victim will find themselves in that cycle, because they come in and cause or inflict this pain and come back and say, no, they buy you gifts, so no, I'm sorry, and you're looking at Louis Vuitton bag and you're thinking, oh my goodness, he is really sorry, so you're back at it again. So as a society or in communities where we see such things playing out, we need to be more empathetic to those people, right? Because you can assist the best way that you can, but don't give up on the person. There is going to be time when their eyes open to the reality of actually what is happening. And also avoid saying, get out of that relationship, let the person show them the challenges they're facing and let them take the decision. It's easier and quicker when a person takes the decision themselves. What you can do is just to flag out, to say, look, this is what's happening. How are you feeling about this? What are you going to do about it? Where do you think it's going to end? How best can I support you? And I know that it's hard, especially if it's your sibling, your sister, your brother, or even your child, or even your neighbor. For that, it's hard to see it playing out. You feel like you can just stop it and assist, but you can only support. That's all you can, and the best way that you can.
So what does this award now mean for you, your organization, the work that you do?
It's a challenge to do more work, because for me, I think it was a pat on the back to say you're in the right direction. You are doing what's needed in the community, and I'm saying this because these were voted for. It's unlike if you are chosen by a panel, you say, no, it's only a few people. But if people have to vote for you and you find that you win amongst 8 people in the category from around the country, that says you're making something that is needed, something of value, something of positive impact. So it's that reassurance that we need to work more. And really, for me, is that the more people we reach, the better. So that's why we try also to use as many platforms as we can to reach as many people and assist as many people as we can.
Amazing stuff. Where can we find you on social media? Where can we find you? Everywhere. In case we want to partner with you.
Yeah, it's Tholo _Motaung. It's THOLO _Motaung on all social media platforms. For queer related issues or the LGBTQI plus, it's The Real Queer Talk. Even the YouTube channel, it is The Real Queer Talk.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much for your work. Congratulations on the award.
Thank
you.
I
wish you absolutely nothing but the best. I pray that this is a beautiful season for you. And I like it when good work is rewarded. It's just a reminder that, whatever you're doing it right. So thank you so much for your dedication.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you so much.
Amazing stuff. It is a 7:37 Central African time. Listen to some music.
Channel Africa and you have got